From the Post-Millennial, Washington Post staffers quits. You can't actually see it in the screen, but it's okay. Rebel against Bezos. New mission for opinion section. For those that didn't hear the story, it's amazing. Bezos said the opinion section is now going to be about personal liberties and free markets. And the communists who work for the Washington Post threw a tantrum and stormed out. This is amazing. We were just hanging out with Mike Cernovich, who was basically saying what we saw yesterday. By all means, everybody's mad at these influencers for whatever reason. Not everybody, but a lot of people. The White House decided to bring in prominent personalities instead of the corporate press to break a major story. Whatever you think, this is a major change in how the government has handled media in the past. And with this administration, we are going to see more transparency and independent voices getting access to government. This is amazing. Now, the Washington Post under Bezos is being told personal liberties and free market. The communist woke stuff is out. When these people rebel and quit, I can only say thank you for leaving.
No, please.
No, please.
So thank you for quitting. And honestly, okay, so look, my degree is in journalism from Columbia, right? I got my master's at Columbia. And I think that people have no idea. We think that we know that these people are whiny libs and leftists or whatever. There is this entire pipeline in mainstream media of these people. Even to when I was at Columbia, and I was not even conservative at that point. I was kind of like independent, asking questions because, surprise, surprise, I thought that that's what you were supposed to do in J school, in a J school master's program, right? And the looks that I would get when you would just ask basic questions about immigration, etc., things that you weren't supposed to ask. And people do not understand that these people are literally taken from, your Columbias, your Northwesterns, wherever, and they are in all of these newsrooms across the country. They are not curious. They don't see their job as journalists as to ask questions. Their job is to promote the liberal propaganda that they were born and raised with. And so, yes, they're doing us all a favor to quit because I believe in journalism. I believe in legacy media pieces. They need to be saved. And I think that Bezos is trying to save the Washington Post. But yeah, those people are doing us all a favor when they reveal themselves and they exit stage right.
I think so, too. I'm glad to see it. I mean, I don't know the insides, but it sounds like, get out.
I'm trying
change the diet of the system. A bunch of the parasites flee the system.
If I'm not mistaken, Tim, you started out in the mainstream world, right?
Not necessarily. The first media I started doing was just activists on the ground live streaming.
Okay.
So I was doing live mobile streaming. It's really crazy how nobody does this anymore. Very few people do that on the ground reporting. And then for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And actually, I would say it's almost 2 years. And then I went to Vice. Vice was independent at the time. And then like a month after I joined them, Fox had bought a big investment. So I was kind of like, I rolled my eyes. And then from there, I did join an ABC News joint venture and actually worked out of the ABC News building in New York.
Yeah.
And oh boy, all the stories are true.
Yeah, they're all true.
How the mainstream media operates, the instruction, golden handcuffs. One example I like to give is how they had a presidential debate forum. They told me I was too white to be involved, despite the fact that I'm mixed race, as everybody knows. It's a trope. It's a meme. And I was denied that for the way I looked. That was the wokeness of the corporate press. It's all true.
And they're all like that. And the weird thing about me, even as somebody being, the black guy that was out here doing all this, but I wasn't the black guy that thought the way that you were supposed to think. So they will talk about how diverse the press corps, their little White House beat reporters or the press corps or whatever, they're all diverse and they're white and they're black and they're Asian and they're Latino and they're biracial and all these different things. But they are just all liberals. And they all basically toe that line. That's why independent media is ascending. Mainstream media is kind of dying. I mean, it's dying a slow death. I believe that at this point right now, it is the undead. It is the undead. It's Walking Dead.
Well, I mean, look, it's MSNBC making money off zombie carriage fees, and they're realizing it's not going to last. But I do warn people: these liberal podcasters are gaining tremendous traction.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a period where I think over the past week, the number one podcast in the world actually was a liberal anti-Trump podcast that surpassed Rogan briefly.
Yeah,
Who was it?
It was
Midas Touch.
Midas Touch. What I will say about that is that now that they know that independent media is ascending, they will put corporate dollars and dim dollars and all of that stuff. They will fund these people to the level that if you're a conservative or Republican independent journalist or whatever, like you couldn't dream of getting the kind of support that they're going to be giving to these guys.
I love this when I'm talking to like the Majority Report people, and they keep running this narrative that we get behind the scenes corporate money and things like this. And I told this to Cenk Uygur. I said, we've sold ads and everybody listening, okay, this is it. We're a big podcast. I think yesterday we were the 7th biggest live show in the world, and simultaneously the 26th biggest because we're on Rumble and YouTube. If you combine them both, we were number 2. We've been able to sell ads for $50,000 for one read. That's not typical. It's not common. It's not really, but sometimes you can make that money. What do we do with it? We do field events like this, which are expensive and difficult. We try and invest in community building. It's not about getting wealthy off this, but we are not getting secret corporate billionaire dollars from industrialists behind the scenes. It's a lie they have to maintain to discredit us. And so when they say, why aren't we doing well? Well, it's actually quite simple. They are bad at business.
Yeah.
And I said that to Cenk Uygur when he was like, you got to be getting, we don't get these ad dollars. And I was like, then you're bad at business. He goes, well, no, we're not. And I'm like, clearly you are. We do standard sales through corporations that have ad offices in New York City. We're not doing anything special. There's no secret meeting at TPUSA where Charlie Kirk brings in the head of ExxonMobil to fund any of this stuff. That's not true. So what we're going to see now, while I bring this up to say, in defense of many of these liberals, they are not, as much as David Pakman liked to run this segment where he claimed along with Milo, were accusing me of getting USAID money. I never said that. No, I think they're making money off of clickbait, political content that the people want and are looking for new venues to find it. And they're making a lot of money off programmatic ads and default sales, but they don't know how to run a media business the way meritocratically developed individuals do. So on the right, which includes liberals at this point, post-liberals and disaffected liberals, you have people who built from the ground up, and largely on the left, you have a Democrat nonprofit bought ads, I'm not going to get specific, but you have a lot of political funding, and I'm not trying to accuse them of doing anything untoward, but a lot of the activist media. Take a look at Media Matters.
Yeah.
This is not organically grown meritocratic individuals. This is political power.
And it's all propped up. It's all propped up, and they're doing this thing now. And they're doing this thing now where they will find these dim influencers that are trying to prop a lot of money into, but then they connect them to mainstream media stuff. Like, what is CBS This Morning doing? A segment on some dim influencers on TikTok, right? It's not organic. It's not real.
I got you. Caitlin Collins reportedly makes $3 million a year.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Where did she come from?
And Daily Caller.
Daily Caller.
Does anybody who works in this space? Oh, actually, you know what? I'm not going to rag on the lady. Don Lemon's a good example. Okay,
I was just going to bring him up, please.
He's got 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. More power to him. He gets maybe like 10 to 30,000 per video. That's not bad for a small entry-level podcaster who's been in the space for a few years. Don Lemon was an anchor, primetime on CNN for a decade plus?
A decade plus.
He did not have the talent nor the merit to be in such a position. He was placed there, and his notoriety was gifted to him from a pedestal. Whereas in the independent media space, most of the personalities you see built it from the ground up slowly over time. It is no mystery why Cat Turd, of all people on X, built a big following. It's not because someone came to him and said, we have a plan. We're going to give you $1 million to make a profile called Cat Turd. No, it's a guy with opinions who every day watched the news, voiced his opinions, built up a following, and became prominent through merit.
It's worth noting that a lot of the people that are on the left, that the left seems to be trying to lift up, people like Hassan Piker, who just again today was calling for the death of a public figure.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, he straight up said I made a remark about Rick Scott and said someone should kill him.
Wow.
There's also people like. There's consistent
in a video game, I'm sure.
No, he did. Well,
he didn't caveat it.
He didn't. There was no caveat. It was a straight up, calling for someone to do something, and that's not odd on the left anymore.
Well, it's not just that. It's numerous corporate press outlets have advocated for and directed their audiences to follow these people.
Yeah,
there are some individuals on the left that I don't want to drag because they're not abject evil.
I will.
They're just liberals. But the New York Times has run stories saying the new Joe Rogan and things like this.
Yeah.
And then these people from these stories get 1 million subs overnight and instantly become millionaires through the institutions empowering them.
And then it's not real.
And to be fair, I'm not saying that every liberal ever has no merit and did not build up their channel. I'm saying the tendency for the establishment left has been Powerful voices were propped up by a corporate institution. And on this side, in spite of censorship, we have clawed our way to our position.
And you brought up Don Lemon earlier, and I want to get back to that because he is the most pure example of somebody who literally does not know who he is when there's not a team of producers and a team of executives propping him up. He had the biggest platform, for a decade plus. He's flailing on digital media. He's attacking Megyn Kelly. He's running up to people on. I saw some video of him running up to people on a subway train.
Yeah, that's the one I
with
saw.
doctored photos of himself. And so this person has no idea who he is outside of a news set, outside of people writing the scripts. I was talking to a producer. I will not name the network. I will not name the show. But this producer was talking about a particular person that is talking about, well, I don't like how this script is. Well, bro, write it yourself. Right? And so a lot of these people are so propped up, they are struggling in this space because they have not figured out who they are. Fundamentally, they've not figured out who they are. And they've not had to do the hard work to figure that out.
Yeah, it requires
what I love?
you got to become a producer. I want to hear what you
Yeah,
love.
a producer.
Megyn Kelly leaves network television.
Yeah.
She leaves Fox. She tries to go to NBC. They fire her for the stupidest reason imaginable.
It was ridiculous.
She starts her own podcast, her own channel. She has 3.5 million subscribers on YouTube. She has one of the top 10 podcasts in the world.
Yes.
She routinely gets hundreds of thousands of views. That looks like somebody with wit and merit who deserved to be in a talent position, who proved it on their own after the fact.
And the thing that I love about Megyn Kelly is in her show is that it's journalism. You know what Megyn Kelly thinks about things when she decides that she wants to go for a top. You know what she feels about men and women's sports, right? Like biological men, like that whole thing. You know what she feels about that. You know that she felt strongly enough about Trump to go to that rally. But 90% of the show is actual legitimate journalism. It's actual questions about what's going on. It's bringing people on that are actual experts, and there is news value in that. There's value in that to the listener. I'm not, look, my podcast is a lot of, kind of like off the cuff stuff about what I think, but I'm even transitioning that to do a little bit more news because that is what is of value to the viewer. I think that Megyn Kelly probably wouldn't be as extremely successful as she is if it was just, hey, I'm Megyn and this is what I think every single day, right? So she works hard at it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.